Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me today. So my channel is going to be about practical life and Montessori at home. Just a disclaimer, I don't expect you to be setting up a home school in your home environment, but I hope that these videos are helpful for you to be able to do some Montessori style activities with what you have on hand that you can easily create. And that will just work within your routine, your schedule, your home, and it's, simple learning activities that can help your child be involved in the activities of your home. So practical life is about learning skills to take care of yourself, the environment, and to take care of others. So it might include things like learning to clean up, learning to make your own food, learning to brush your hair and your teeth. Very simple activities that everyone has to learn how to do, but it really breaks it down into simple steps for children to see how to do those things at a young age and you take care of their own needs independently as much as they can for what's age appropriate. Practical life also appeals to a child's sense of order. So something like the steps being repeated in the same way of an activity each time, things kind of having a place where they go when they're finished using them, a routine. Those are all about a child's sense of order, and that's really important for young children. And they allow for repetition of activities. So it may just be doing one thing over and over again as they're mastering a skill. And so practical life allows a child to spend as much time with one aspect of an activity or an entire lesson, whatever it is they're working on, and we just trust that the child is knowing what they're ready for and is working on what they need to learn. And also practical life is about coordination skills, hand-eye coordination, strengthening the fingers, things like that are going to be important foundations for learning in all areas. So when you're setting up a practical life activity, it's important to think through the activity from start to finish and think about the materials that you need beforehand and even practice it yourself beforehand so that you have kind of a trial run of how you're going to show them to use it, and you can think through anything that maybe you needed to grab still, or something that maybe you didn't consider ahead of time, those kinds of things. And you also want to make sure that you're showing all of the steps of an activity from start to finish with minimal language. So it's mostly about the actions that you're doing, but you can give a simple, phrase or word to kind of focus in on something that you're doing, and to be dramatic and slow with your movements. Really giving the child a chance to process what it is that you're doing, to see all of the individual steps that make up one movement, one action. So those are really important parts of practical life. With that being said, I'd like to give a little bit of a lesson on hand washing at the sink because I felt that would be a relevant lesson to give right now, and something very simple that you can kind of see how a practical life activity is presented. And it's also an activity that we all need to be teaching children how to do, and hopefully you have a setup at your home that makes it easy for your child to work on this activity. So I'm going to bring the camera over into the bathroom sink and show you the materials that I would use for hand washing at the sink, and we'll get started. Please bear with me, I'm just using my phone camera, so the technology may not be all that great, but we're all working with what we have, right? So here I am at the bathroom, and very simple I hope that you have a step stool or something like that for your child to reach one of the sinks of your home, and that makes it manageable for them to get up and down on their own. If they're really small and you don't quite feel comfortable with them doing that independently, then just make sure that you're nearby to supervise them until you're more comfortable with their skills of getting up and down off the step stool. So first I would provide a step stool to make sure they can reach. You'll want to provide some kind of soap. So you may consider having like a bar of soap that you've cut into fourths. So it's not such an overwhelming amount of soap. Or if you feel like your child can be successful with the hand pump and you don't want them to use all of the soap, you can just, give a little bit of an amount at the bottom so that they're not wasting a lot. You can also just get like a little travel thing of soap that's easy for them to use the hand pump, or you can just help them get, a pump of soap in their hand when you're wanting them to wash their hands at the sink. You'll also need some kind of towel to dry their hands. So this can be a cloth towel, or maybe you're wanting to use paper towels right now. I would advise you to just cut a paper towel in half and maybe have a basket available for your child to be able to grab their paper towel and show them how to throw it away when they're finished. So I'll go ahead and show you all of the steps for hand washing, and also give you a little song that you can do with the children that can help them wash for the amount of time that we want them to wash. So I will, just a little disclaimer, the soap that I have in my sink, I have to pump a bunch of times to actually get a good amount of soap out. So hopefully you have a better system at home, but this is what I have on hand. So if you see me pumping a bunch of times, that's why. And if that's the case at your home, then you would just show your child that that's what they need to do to get the soap out. And over time, as they practice, they can be successful with that themselves. So I would have them climb up the stool and put their hands under the water with me. Tops and bottoms, tops and bottoms, in between, rub your hands together, rub your hands together, now they're clean, now they're clean. Bubbles all over my hands. Now I'm going to turn the water back on. All the bubbles are gone off my hands. Now I'm going to dry them. So we're going to make sure that we wash our hands before we eat, after we come in from outside, after we go to the bathroom. So we'll wash our hands a lot to make sure that we're getting all the germs off of our hands. So that's kind of an example of how you can show your children to wash their hands. You notice I just kind of slowed everything down and didn't use a whole lot of words, just a couple things to give reminders of the steps. If you have an infant or a toddler, I would recommend at first going hand over hand with them. So you're helping their hands to do all of the motions. So you might show them first and then help them do it themselves. And, you know, just helping them get like in between and around the wrists and everything, because a lot of times they'll just get a pump of soap in their hand and just, you know, rinse it off. So it takes several times of showing them, and it takes some assistance, especially with younger children, to really get that muscle memory in there. So you might need to help with that. So that's hand washing at the sink, and I'm gonna have another video where I present the other hand washing stationary activity that I have.